Hi there. This is David from Welcome Back Comics. Here to tell you about one of those fun little finds when you just stop at a random antique flea market kind of store. They have a pile of comics and it turns out there's something worth picking up. It'll be a short video because there's not a ton to talk about. Stack of books about yay high, picked up for $1 a piece. Short version of the story, I was coming actually back from a con in Delaware, just a one-day firehouse show. I'll be doing a video shortly about some of the stuff we picked up there. And was visiting a friend in Baltimore on the way home. She had moved to the city a while back. We hadn't seen her new house yet. So stopped by for a quick visit. On the drive to her place, noticed a little storefront, said Flea Market Antique Store. Asked her about it. She'd never been there, kind of been curious about it. It's only open for a few hours on the weekend, so we wandered in. Overall, nothing too exciting, a lot of costume jewelry, stuff like that. And of course, though, see the obligatory stacks of comic books, not even in boxes, just stacked up on shelves. So I started walking through them, just looking through. First, I was like, okay, nothing really exciting here, but let me keep going. Saw a few things that I thought were interesting, still had no idea how much they were. Hadn't talked to anybody yet, so I went ahead and started making a little stack for myself. Eventually asked one of the people who worked there how much are the comics. She said $1 a piece. I said, great, kept building my stack. Found a few things, again, a lot of stuff in this range, kind of spawns in the 100 teens to the 160s. Not super high-end books, and they're in decent shape. A couple of them have a little more dings than I thought they did. So picked up just a bunch of spawns. Again, for $1 a piece, these are decent books to sell for, anywhere from $2 to $5, depending on the show. If McFarlane's at a show, it's a little bit of a different story. But again, I find that spawns after 100, people, I guess, sort of dropped off the title, and so they're a little bit harder to come by. So for $1 a piece, I figured it was worth having them, even if we don't make a ton of money on them. It's nice to have these just for people to enjoy them. And so just was pulling spawns. Was like, this is great. For $1 a piece, I'm happy. It's fun to pick something up at a store like this. Wasn't really expecting to find anything. So going to go buy these kind of quickly. So again, we're now up into the 150s with Spawn. Keep going for a bit. So most of these are Spawn books. There's only one other title I picked up. I'm sorry, two other titles I picked up anything of. And mainly, again, these were not high dollar. I wasn't expecting a huge return on them, but make a Spawn collector happy. Also, sort of a sentimental pickup for me. This book isn't really worth anything anymore. Once upon a time it was, and we used to love selling Ultimate Spider-Man runs. So number 5 was kind of a low print run issue. Back in its heyday, it was selling for $50. We'll probably throw this in our $5 section. Probably be lucky if somebody picks it up. But for $1 each, I was like, what the hell? Next thing I started to find were some Invincible titles. And there were few in the sort of 30s that I passed on because, again, they're a little harder to sell. But saw some earlier ones. So I got number 18 here. Knew that, the earlier ones, again, anywhere from $5 to maybe $10 or $20, depending on the issue. Found 15. So again, some of the earlier ones, I was like, this is exciting. A little bit better than the spawns in terms of probably a little bit more in terms of resale value. But still not necessarily super exciting. 12's got just a phenomenal cover. And then a couple that then dropped below the 10 mark. So that was great because these, again, often get up maybe in the $20 range. And again, some of them are in pretty good shape. Others have a couple little dings on the spine, so that'll affect their value a little bit. But for $1 a piece, certainly worth it. Number 4 here. And then the big find of the day, looking through Invincible number 1. So I couldn't believe it. For a sec, I had to double check to make sure it wasn't a reprint. I know Larry's Comics did some reprints. Even those, frankly, will sell for $20, $25. But this is a first print, Invincible 1. It's hard to see in the light here. There's a little ding here. And there's a running down here. It almost looks like tape residue. Nothing that ripped the book or pulled anything off of it, but a little bit of tape residue. So this is a book that's probably got enough value in it that we'll pass along to somebody at Basement Comics or somebody else that we know who does sort of cleaning and pressing and get this book cleaned up a little bit. But to find that was a huge win. Talking about a book that's probably on the low end if it gets cleaned up and does pretty nice. $150. Possibly up to $250 depending on how well it looks after the cleaning gets done. So again, just a very quick video about a whim stop, in a store that there was no promise of comic books whatsoever, and often, comes up blank as much as coming up with a gem like that. So I hope you enjoyed it, and again, stay tuned. We'll be posting shortly the video of the actual stuff we found at the First State Comic Con. Got a decent half box of stuff there too, with a couple of exciting finds as well. Until then, see you soon.